Okay, part 3. Welcome to the anxious woman. I'm still sipping my coffee. This is just so good. I don't really like looking at the clock for this whole 10-minute thing, but my husband seems to think that, and he's probably right, that too long of videos are not conducive to viewing habits of people. So I'm trying to keep everything very on topic, which again kind of stifles my imagination, but that's okay. So, talked to my psychiatrist. Today's Friday. That was Wednesday, right? Yes, because yesterday I talked to my daughter. And I'll tell you about that in another video. But anyway, it was a pleasant talk. Had my psychiatrist visit, telehealth. I love telehealth. You log in, she pops up on the screen. I don't have to leave my home. I don't have to use the gas in the car. And anyway, so it went well. My visit went well. I see her again in January every 3 months. She filled my script with 2 refills. I'm on Ativan. Now, we talked about a possible taper for me. Now, this is something I brought up. She did not. What I did was I went on ChatGPT. Again, I'm not telling anybody to do this. This is just what I did. I'm not a doctor. Always talk to your doctor. But I asked her, my psychiatrist, about should I think about tapering? And she said, that's a very good question. And she was glad I asked it. And she said, you know, Poet, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. We could taper you down to half of what you're on, which right now is 4 milligrams. And she said we could find like your sweet spot. So what I did was I went on ChatGPT, which is an app I have on my phone, and I love it so much. And ChatGPT made up a PDF file for me of a taper for someone who's been on a benzo for 40 years at 4 milligrams of Ativan a day. And how would I taper? Using a gentle taper method. Now, they offered a second method where you remove an Ativan and put in a Valium, which is longer acting. So I opted for the staying on the Ativan, and they did up a PDF, and I was able to print it out from my phone with George's help. And I showed it to my psychiatrist through telehealth, and she wrote down everything that it said. It's a reduction of 0.25 milligrams every 2 to 4 weeks for the first 4 or 5 weeks. I'll bring the sheet down on another visit and show you. And then the taper stays at 0.25 reduction, but they stretch the weeks out. Instead of 2 to 4, it goes to 4 to 6, it goes to 6 to 8. And the complete taper, if I was going to go down to 0, would go about 1 to 2 years, which is not surprising for the length of time I've been on it. Now, like she said, my psychiatrist, that we don't have to look at a complete taper. We can taper you down to 3 milligrams, 2 milligrams, 2.5. She said I can prescribe you 0.5 pills, which you can easily break then to 0.25, and it will help you with that taper. She said, when you are ready, she said, I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm not suggesting for you to do it. I'm saying when you're ready. But she was very glad that I brought it up and that I'm thinking about it. And, you know, due to my age, I'm a senior citizen and I've been on it a long time. And so like a half cut, you know, half like to 2 milligrams would be good to be at that point. So she said, when you're ready, when you get to a place where you're completely ready, I will work with you. We will do it together. I'm just like, I love you. Thank you. She keeps track of my meds. There's never been an issue. And so it would be starting at a cut, going from 4 milligrams, like you stay on 4 milligrams for, like a week, and you're consistent. 8 o'clock, noon, 4, 8. Like they even spell it out on the paper. And you do that for like a week. And then you cut 0.25 from one of the doses. And you stay consistent with that. And then they give you all these little tips on the side about sleep and exercise, no smoking, no drinking, which I don't do either. And so that's something I'm going to be doing. I want to start that for the new year. I will be seeing her again mid-January, and I want to start in mid-January, and she's going to work with me. So the goal for me is to get from 4 milligrams to 2. That's the goal. So it was a very good visit. We talked about what I'm doing in my free time, my daily time. I told her I walk each day on the treadmill. It is difficult with my muscle pain in my leg and in my back and stuff like that. But I also showed her, I finished the turtle. It's actually downstairs in the basement. I'll have to get it and show you at some point. But I finished that little turtle, and I started on a banyan tree. This is a 40 by 40. And I'll just show you this really quickly. I don't want to get off topic too much, but this has to do with the visit. I started down there in the corner, and this is the banyan tree. It's absolutely beautiful. I just love it. It's going to be gorgeous when it's done. I don't have a clue what I'll do with it. But, I told her I'm doing that. I'm doing some reading. I'm almost done the Mel Robbins book, Let Them. And we're still watching House. We're on season 8. We're finishing up the whole series of House. And we finished up Downton Abbey. So she is very okay with where I am. I'm very okay with where I am. I told her my anxiety is more heightened some days. I did tell her that since I went on the melatonin, the sleep, I don't have that fierce panic feeling at bedtime like I did. I had it a little bit last night, but not much. And I said, but my days are very rough. I recently, I won't get into that because that's 8 minutes, but yes, I can. I'll stick this in. I had to take my car to the dealership for the 6-month free maintenance, oil change, tire rotation, fluid fill up. It should take 45 minutes. It ended up, I was there for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Someone that I knew went with me and stayed with me because George had a art Zoom meeting with a new artist. And so got the car done, took really long, the longest it's ever taken, and it did ramp up my anxiety because the later it got in the afternoon, the more traffic there is, and I was driving. The person that went with me was not comfortable driving my car because of the insurance, so I drove up and back, and it's the first time I've driven in probably 6 weeks, give or take. And but the car got done. We're good for 6 months again. But I did explain to her, how that affected me. And that's just how it is. Stores, telephone calls, etc. So that was what I needed to fill you in on as far as the psychiatrist. And I'm trying to do these in 10 to 11 minute increments so that they don't go too long, 9 minutes and 38 seconds. I'm doing the best I can, I really am. So I'm going to stop here. So we talked about the DEXA scan, we talked about the PCP and the vitamins, and we talked about the psychiatrist visit. Now let's move on.